Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Tonight's film is 1984's Mutant. 1984's Mutant. Actually, when it was released in theaters, it was known as Night Shadows. But when it was released in VHS and DVD release, it was known as Mutant, aka Night Shadows. Here it is, 1984's Mutant, and this is a really hard movie to get on DVD. I don't really know how many of these releases are. I mean, they're not bootlegs, but they kind of look like bootlegs, if you catch my drift. This DVD release, put out by Diamond Entertainment in 2000. Diamond Entertainment, but I bought this some years ago on Amazon used, but I went on Amazon recently and it looks like there's another company that kind of put it out. And the tagline on the front here is "Mankind's deadliest threat will not come from the skies." 1984's Mutant. This is the back of the DVD. I mean, you can just kind of tell, when they're giving special features like chapters, direct access, go straight to your favorite scenes, original graphics. It's and unfortunately, I mean, you're getting the release, but it's really dark, and things like that. But this is a hard film to come by. So let's talk about this movie right off the bat. 1984's Mutant. What a freaking awesome diamond in the rough this movie is. This is really a crazy, crazy diamond in the rough that a lot of people just don't know about. So let's start off. The film itself will really make you throw out anything that you think about involving, chemical spills and the after effects of people and people mutating in a small town, and corruption and relationships and darkness. Mutant. First off, the score for this film was done by none other than Richard Band. Richard Band being known for doing many Empire Picture scores, like the original Troll, and also doing Terror Vision, and there's just tons and tons of scores. This man has done amazing work, and he did the score, composed and conducted by Richard Band, and this was actually performed by the National Philharmonic Orchestra, and this is the official soundtrack release, CD release, that you can pick up, and this is actually put out by Perseverance Records here, and this is the official release right here, and this was put out officially. I don't have the exact date on this, but this is the release right here. So this is a beautiful soundtrack release. This is a great score by Richard Band. If you know Richard Band's music, I believe he also did Reanimator. He just does amazing work here. This is very dark, 80s, mysterious, nighttime, atmospheric horror. It really at times reminded me of almost Humanoids from the Deep. At times it reminded me of James Horner's Humanoids from the Deep in a way. It had that kind of feel to me sometimes. It reminded me of that. Just a fantastic score that goes throughout the entire film, and really provides the heavy dose of atmosphere that is all about this film. If we go into the sound design for this movie, the sound design for this film is unbelievable. The special effects sound design running all throughout the film is horrific, it's disturbing, it's weird, it's bizarre, it's jarring, and it's oppressive. And it really adds something to this film that makes this film set apart from other horror films of this mutated type of ilk. Okay? When we go into, this is a film of characters. Okay? Wings Hauser's in this film. Okay? This is a film of characters. He's an unbelievable actor, definitely an underrated actor. And you might know him from Vice Squad and The Carpenter, which will be looked at in the future on this YouTube page. But this is a film of characters. This is a small town. It almost reminded me of what would happen if Chevy Chase's Funny Farm film was, went really dark, went really mysterious, and it mixed with, oh gosh, you know, the body snatchers, and just those Night of the Living Dead, and then mixing with just a very bizarre things happening in this small town. There is so much mystery in this small town with the characters and the lack thereof of characters, and you know, in the town itself, there is corruption. There are very bizarre and weird and outlandish characters in this film. This is a country town, and so you have the Confederate flags, and you have talk of rednecks, and all of this. And as soon as the film begins, you are taken in by these characters. This film really sucks you in with weird circumstances, weird situations, really developing the story, developing the atmosphere, developing this film, and you don't know where it's going. I mean, this film just goes from boom to boom to boom to boom to boom. You're constantly interested because there are just fantastic things happening, from violence and fights and just bad people in this town. And then things start to unravel, and mysteries are exposed, and mysteries unravel. And these unraveling mysteries lead to darkness and nightmares. And when I say nightmares, I mean nightmare as a film. You know what I mean? And things get worse and worse and worse. And doctors are unraveling things, and townsfolk are unraveling things. And there's this mysterious inn where you can stay overnight from this woman. I mean, there's this thick atmosphere of weirdness that leads to horror, that leads to visceral horror, that leads to David Cronenberg horror, body horror. And mixing that with the sound design is just amazing, and mixing that with the score is just amazing. We got some great shots in this film. It's filmed really well. Some wild sequences. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but this is a film that has, of course, this is a horror film, and it has that horror. But when that horror is not there, you are led into just these wild sequences with the characters, and unraveling, and violence, and fights, and the town. You're brought into the town, the closed signs of the town. I mean, it almost at times reminded me of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, that town. I mean, this is really a mysterious town. And you got some jerks in this town, and you got some fascinating characters, and a doctor, and some cops with a history. I mean, really thick on all these different personalities, and how they develop and how they unravel, and what an atmosphere in this film. And I gotta tell you, there are some jarring sequences in this film mixed with the sound design, folks, that will scare you. I mean, this is a dark and scary film. You watch this film with the volume up, and you're going to be jarred. You're going to be, you're going to be taken off guard. You're going to be sucker punched, and you might jump. I mean, there are some sequences in here that are never ending, that take you from location to location to location to location, and you just don't know where you're going. And there are some fantastic special effects sequences in this film as well, that are disturbing and visceral. This is not a quote-unquote gory film, but it is definitely a visceral film, and that incorporates, as the title says, mutations. And we even have some very disturbing elements to this film as well, involving children. And we have some, we even have a drama in this film. Because there are so many characters, like I told you about, there's obviously subsequently drama, town drama, relationship drama. There's also a love story that develops. There's also the story of two brothers. And And I got to tell you, there is just the disturbing storylines. If you're not getting the disturbing gore, the horror of this film is in the disturbing loss of people, loss of whether it's children or loss of families, loss of loved ones, loss of a town. This is just a really, really kind of a just a disturbing film in that regards, and there are so many great locations in this film within this town that make up this town. The locations from the doctor's office, to the gasoline station, to the bar, just fantastic, just great locations. Look at the lit up sign on the outside of the tavern, at the outside of the bar. The woman's mysterious inn and her basement that you will see later on. This is Mutant, and this is a scary film. It's a horror film. There's even some industrial, maybe quote unquote sci-fi elements to this film as well. But to make no mistakes about it, this is an awesome horror, dark, nightmarish, unraveling, great 80s type of film that reminded me a lot in many respects of Humanoids from the Deep in some of the 80s tone at times. I mean, you're not getting, this is not a film with sleaze. This is not a film with nudity. I don't even remember if there was really any bad language in this film, okay? But this is a film of horror and visceral body horror and loss and mystery and violence and weirdness. This is 1984's Mutant, otherwise known as Night Shadows. When will an official release of this film cleaned up ever come out? I do not know, but in the meantime, track this film down and check it out. This is a diamond in the rough, and I mean, you can't beat, of course, this was directed by John Bud Cardos, and of course we have Wings Hauser in this film. You know him. He's awesome. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talked about movies that I believe need to be talked about more. Diamonds in the rough. Check out all my other reviews in this YouTube page: exploitation, sexploitation, teen sex comedies, horror, the bizarre, the weird. It's all here, folks. Thank you so much. And please feel free to check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopy diarrhea. Thank you and good night.